Alright, this is the review and practice quiz for concept 2. So for questions A through D, these are the two functions we're using. Remember that this notation, so f of x or g of x, is just the name of the function. So another way to think of it is this is the output or the y value, x is the input. So f of 3, this notation means that you're evaluating function f when x equals 3. So 7 over 3x minus 2. So 3 times 3 minus 2 is 7 over 9 minus 2 is 7, which reduces to 1. Part B, g of negative 2 means I need to evaluate function g when x equals negative 2. Negative 2 squared, oops, it should be minus 5 times negative 2 plus 4. So positive 4, positive 10, and positive 4. 14 plus 4 is 18. This is a composition of functions. The first function we evaluate will be the inside function. We're evaluating function g when x equals 0. So 0 squared minus 5 times 0 plus 4. So 0 minus 0 plus 4 is 4. Now this is my new input for function f. So I evaluated function g when x equals 0 and I got 4. Now I'm going to do f of 4, which is 7 over, I'll just write it over here, 7 over 3 times 4 minus 2. 7 over 12 minus 2 is 10, so 7/10. Part D is asking when f of x equals 1/4, then what was x? Another way to think of it is this is the output of the function, what was the input? So looking here, I'm substituting 1/4 in place of the f of x, and I'm figuring out what x was equal to if my answer or my output was 1/4. So you can cross multiply. 1 times 3x minus 2 equals 28. 3x equals 30, so x equals 10. Now graphically, we again have two functions, f of x and g of x. The equations aren't given, but you have all the points that are given on these lines. So g of 6 is asking when x equals 6, what is the value of function g, or the y value of function g? So if I look at function g, which is this line, my y value when x equals 6 is negative 1. If f of x equals 1, what was x? So this is, in other words, if the y value of function f was equal to 1. So if I'm at y equals 1, and I'm looking at function f, this line here, if I go over to that line, I'm answering what the x value is at that point. So again, when y equals 1, this point has an x value of negative 2. And if it helps you to actually draw the point on there, you can do that. Now this is first asking for g of 2. So when x equals 2, function g is equal to positive 3, that's the y value. But I also need to evaluate function f at this x value. So when x equals 3, 1, 2, 3, function f, which is this function, has a y value here at 1, 2, 3, 4. So at what value of x is f of x equal to g of x? This means they should have the same y value and the same x value, or in other words, where they intersect. So at what value of x is that happening? That's at x equals 2. For what values of x is f of x less than g of x? You may want to highlight before answering this question. Another way to think of this is f of x is below, because it's less than, g of x. So I'm going to highlight the portion of f of x that is below g of x. So from here to here, the graph is below g of x. But once you hit this point, f of x is above g of x. So what values of x is that? Well, I'm starting here at 2, but I highlighted everything that's less than or equal to 2. So x is less than or equal to 2. All the numbers less than or equal to 2 are part of the solution.